Hello everybody, welcome back to the first and best dedicated channel about Kitsumon. My name is Mike and today's video is about Nuclismo. Let's go. Alright, first things first, Nuclismo is one of the 3 rare Kitsus with only 500 NFTs in existence, which means that only 500 people will be able to own and use Nuclismo. That is, if not one person owns more than one Nuclismo, because then that doesn't add up. So let's jump right into the elements. And it's very nice to see that we have the steel element again, because last time when I covered Johnny Silverpaw, I completely forgot to cover steel. I don't know what happened then, but let's cover it today. And the other element of Nuclismo is poison, and we didn't have that one before, so both elements will be covered in this video. Let's start with poison. So poison is strong against nature, air and psychic, but not so strong against shadow or dark. Let's see which one they're going to choose. So if we switch it around and look at the defense, we have poison with 3 elements that can deal increased damage to it. The first one being steel, then we have mana and air. So those 3 can deal increased damage to poison Kitsus, but void Kitsus will have a tough time dealing damage to poison type Kitsus because they have a resistance against their attacks. Alright, now let's cover the steel element. The steel element deals more damage to ice, poison and earth Kitsus. And if we switch it around, it only takes increased damage from 2 elements, water and lightning. And that's very nice because there are other elements that take increased damage from up to 4 elements, like water for example. And I think this makes steel a very viable element to have on your Kitsu because there are less other Kitsu types who can deal increased damage to it. And the only element which will have a tough time dealing damage to steel is the earth type, as you can see here. Alright, with that out of the way, let's head over to the abilities of Nuclismo. And the first ability is called Plasma Beam. After a brief wind-up, Nuclismo shoots a powerful plasma beam that slows any target it hits. Okay, this sounds similar to the first skill of Johnny Silverpaw. I think it's called Silver Leg, where you charge up and release a kick and everything you hit gets slowed. So a nice ability. Slow is always nice, not as powerful as a stun obviously, but slowing abilities are always good to have. So yeah, perfect basic ability. Let's head over to the next one, called Lead Paws. Nuclismo pounces a short distance and creates an impact with its powerful paws that briefly stuns any enemies in its range. Alright, there we have the stun. So if I had to choose between Plasma Beam and Lead Paws, I would probably 99% of the time take Lead Paws, because not only is it a stun and not a slow, but you also pounce a short distance, which means you have a sort of dash, so you can use it as a mobility tool as well. Whereas Wind Up is a ranged attack, which is probably also good, but in terms of escape mechanism, Lead Paws is definitely ahead. Next one is called Irradiate. Oh, that's a long text. Begins to build radioactivity inside its isotope tail that damages nearby enemies, growing in size during the duration. Shortly after activating the ability, the radiation also starts to damage Nuclismo itself. Damage and range continue to increase while the ability remains active, until it's manually deactivated or Nuclismo faints. Okay. That's kind of a fun ability. This sounds a bit like Rot of Patch from Dota, where you turn it on and release some kind of rotten gas that damages everything around you and yourself. And my first question regarding this spell would be, does Nuclismo have some kind of innate resistance to its own spell damage? So if you damage yourself for the same value as you damage everyone else, that would be kind of stupid, I think. So I would love to see if Nuclismo has some kind of spell or something else that compensates for the damage you deal to yourself. I mean, it says there's a short window between activation and when it starts to damage Nuclismo, so you can deal a bit of damage without taking damage. It also says it damages more the longer it is active, so to gain the maximum output of DPS, you probably have to turn it on for a very long time. So yeah, let's see if Nuclismo has some kind of improved health regeneration or something that makes up for the lost health of that spell. Next up we have Reactor. Nuclismo activates its reactive powers to gain increased movement speed and slow resistance. The strength of this ability depends on how long Irradiate has been active for. Ah, okay, so Reactor directly benefits from Irradiate. So the longer Irradiate has been active, the higher your increased movement speed and slow resistance will get. The idea is nice, but I don't know if that's actually useful, because when we think about the breeding function and breed Nuclismo with another Kitsu, and the hybrid gets the Reactor ability but not the Irradiate ability, I don't know. It loses a lot of its impact, I think. So Reactor won't be as useful in a hybrid Kitsu that does not own the Irradiate ability as well. So it's the same with REFERRAL. If you have spells that benefit from each other, but you breed Kitsus who miss one of the other spells, it's kind of difficult, you know? But even if you have both spells, I'm not sure if it is a very strong ability. I mean, okay, after you turn on Irradiate, you take damage, your health goes down, you become vulnerable, and then you turn on Reactor and get improved speed and slow resistance so you can escape better. But I don't know. I think it's a nice idea, but it could definitely be improved. Let's get to the next one, Atomic Mend. Using its unique fusion of poison and steel, Nuclismo temporarily converts any self-inflicted damage from Irradiate to healing for a short period of time. Aha. After Atomic Mend ends, Irradiation is also deactivated. Okay, well, that... You turn on Irradiate, you damage yourself and everyone around you. You can keep up Irradiate for a prolonged time if you switch on Atomic Mend, which turns all the damage you get from Irradiate into healing. So after Atomic Mend ends, Irradiation is also deactivated. So basically you probably, hopefully, get out with the same amount of HP you went into the fight. And then you even get a speed bonus. So all three abilities together synergize really well. But as I just said, what if you breed the Kitsu and the hybrid is missing one or even two of those abilities? I mean, Atomic Mend, as far as I can tell, does not do anything. It is completely useless if you don't have Irradiate, because all it does is turn the damage from Irradiate into healing. So if you don't have Irradiate, it does not do anything. So I don't know how the team will tackle this kind of problems, but I'm sure they will work something out or even have worked it out already. So yeah, let's just head over to the next ability, which is called Self-Destruct. Nuclismo starts to wind up nuclear energy inside of itself to prepare for a huge explosion, gaining a small amount of damage resistance during the wind-up. If it successfully finishes the wind-up, Nuclismo unleashes a big boom that does damage based on its own missing health before fainting. Okay, this is the second time where we read that Nuclismo can faint. What does that mean? Is it just immobilized for like 1 second, or I don't know. We need more information about that. But regarding Self-Destruct, again, a nice ability which synergizes really well with Irradiate. So you put out constant damage yourself, and when you hit self-destruct, you deal even more damage the more health you're missing. So this spell could work even if you don't have Irradiate in your hybrid, because you lose health in a fight, and yeah, you can always trigger self-destruct in the middle of a fight when you already lost some HP and improve its damage. But again, this is kind of dependent on Irradiate, so I'm not too sure what to think about this. Unless the team has a very, very solid plan on how to balance those abilities who depend on each other, I see a lot of potential conflict there. Next ability, Nuclear Fusion. A high cooldown ability. Consumes the built-up energy from irradiation and creates a wave of energy that slightly boosts the damage of nearby teammates for a short duration. The size of the energy wave depends on the amount of time the irradiation has been active for. Guys, I don't know. The spells that depend on irradiation just keep coming. I mean, in general, I'm a huge fan of abilities who depend on each other or synergize well. But with the breeding function in mind, I can just say it over and over again. I think this is going to be a problem. I personally don't have any idea how to tackle this, and I don't know if the team already addressed this, but I think this is a very, very hot topic for the next AMA. So spells that depend on each other, what happens if one of those does not get passed down to the hybrid? This is very interesting. Alright, but the ability in itself is awesome. I mean, boosting the damage of your teammates is incredible, and it boosts the damage even more if irradiation has been active. So a nice ability, a nice buff for the whole team. Very cool, but as I said, the problems keep piling up with abilities which could not potentially get passed down to your hybrid. Alright, Nuclismodon. Nuclismo transforms into the fearsome Nuclismodon, an atomic deity of pure destruction and ruin. This guardian has powerful AoE abilities that can quickly blow enemies to bits. Alright, transformation ability of Nuclismo will be covered in a separate video, as I said before. I'm very curious about the transformations, because we know nothing. Let's head to the passives. So the first passive of Nuclismo is Speed Demon. A powerful force runs through the limbs of this Kitsu, allowing it to accelerate faster and achieve a higher top speed. I think that's the same as Kitsune had. So a good ability for racing. I mean, obviously the more speed the better, so great choice. And the second one is Hard Hitter, and that is also the same that we already saw at Kitsune. Yeah, they are exactly the same. Hard Hitter and Speed Demon. So kind of boring, to be honest. I mean, those are good abilities, don't get me wrong. Because Hard Hitter, if you have not seen the Kitsune Spotlight, which you can watch here, is a nice ability or passive ability that allows you to slow your enemy if you successfully hit them with a single target attack or ability. So the ability itself is nice. I just would have loved to see something original that no other Kitsu has, for example. But now let's head over to the third ability of Nuclismo, which got already leaked in the sneak peek session of the Discord, and it is called Powersupply and increases the construction speed of all your buildings. And this is also very interesting because it is the first time that we see that we're going to build buildings in Kitsumon. So I don't know if this refers only to professions like if you are taking up the cooking profession, you're building a little cooking building, kitchen building, or if this also applies to other stuff, you know, if you can build up other things like a training ground for your Kitsu where you can try it out or test abilities or something like that. We don't know. Let's see what the team has in store for us there. Very curious to see more about buildings. So these are the 3 abilities of Nuclismo. As of now, I cannot really say if Powersupply is a great ability, because speeding up the construction of buildings, I don't know how relevant this really is. So we have to wait for more information if this passive is desirable or rather useless. So all in all, I have to admit, Nuclismo is the first Kitsu that has me scratching my head, because the abilities in itself seem completely useless if you do not have the whole kit. So every ability is dependent on another ability. And as I said throughout the whole video, I don't see how this is working in breeding. And we need to breed Nuclismo because there are only 500 pieces, which is not nearly enough for the player base I have in mind for Kitsumon. So we need to breed those abilities, and if they get useless without other abilities, I don't see how this is going to work out. But I'm curious how the team will react, how they will answer those questions. Probably in the next EMA, hopefully I will definitely ask them. And if you don't want to miss the answer to this question, hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell so you always get notified when I upload a new video. And all that's left to say is thank you for watching. As always, have a great day. And I see you in the Kitsumon Metaverse.